What's the stupidest thing you've ever done because of your anger? I am gonna go ahead and say I'm not the only one who has been mad and punched something too hard, injured my hand, and just became even more enraged in pain. Dropped new phone in parking lot, punched side of car, had cracked phone and dented car. Anger is dumb. When I was an early teen I was playing in a baseball game. I was up to bat and the crazy parents of the other team were talking crap to me, really pilling it on an inappropriate. I grounded out to third, which made me snap. I turned to the crap talkers, grabbed myself and screamed, "Suck my freaking dong." To this day I am embarrassed for how I acted even as a 14-year-old. Yeah, in my opinion your behavior was completely justified. Your only mistake was apologizing. Frick those parents, and people like them. When I was in law school I was having a particularly difficult time with my computer. I couldn't open something or save a file or whatever, and in my frustration I slammed my computer down on the surface in front of me. I thought that since I was sitting on my bed nothing would happen. Wrong. Whatever I did fricked up my computer to the point where they couldn't recover any files or fix my computer. So I had to buy a new one and I had to start my assignment all over again. Probably hit the HDD while it was reading something. I did the same thing. In an instant all files were gone. I could replace the HDD, though. I started fighting with a mascot guy dressed up as Mickey Mouse. It was in one of the most popular tourist places in my country, so a lot of people around. He kicked the crap out of me. Back when camera phones were a new thing, 2004 or so, I got angry at something unrelated to my phone and threw my weak old camera phone against the wall. The only thing that broke was the camera, so I didn't have an excuse to get a new one. Just had to deal with the consequences of my stupid behavior for 2 years, carrying around an expensive cameraless camera phone. My old roommate got pee off while talked to his mom on the phone and threw his new original Motorola Razr like a ninja star at the wall at full strength. It actually stuck in the wall and we had a razor-shaped hole in the wall for the next few years. My girlfriend and I picked up chips and Quizo for a movie night. After heating up the Quizo and carefully carrying the bowl into the living room, I happily went to set it down on the coffee table, except it slipped and dumped about half of the precious gooey goodness all over the table. I went into a silent rage, not just because I wasted so much glorious cheese, but because we only had that one jar. I went to get paper towels. In my blind rage I couldn't get the roll off of the holder, so I grabbed it and full force ripped it off of the wall like a gorilla. Then while trying to rip off towels to wipe up the mess, I was fumbling to get the sheets to rip correctly. I then threw the roll as hard as I could across the room, paper towels trailing behind like some kind of absurd toiletry comet. I've since dialed down the anger a bit and have built a new paper towel holder. My girlfriend found the whole situation hilarious and was trying to keep her laughter to herself the entire time. Absurd toiletry comet. Look son, there goes Brawny's comet. Get a good look. It only comes around every 75 years or so. It appears in the eastern sky, over Quizo Falls. A mix of anger and laziness. I cooked up some steaks on my George Foreman. Went to clean it after but got annoyed that the gunk wasn't coming off. So I threw the entire thing in the bin. Did the same thing with a crock pot. Spent ages trying to clean it off. Finally got irritated and carried the whole thing out to the dumpster. When I went fishing for the first time with my brother, I got so frustrated trying to bait the hook that I tossed the rod right into the water, whereupon my brother pushed me into the lake to fetch it. That's a good brother. Ripped a 1990 vintage England shirt up when we got knocked out of Euro 96. Literally ripped it off myself like the Hulk. SMH. One of the very few regrets I've ever had in life. Don't worry, they have been quite crap since. Threw all the groceries on the floor while letting out a war cry. Milk split open. Green peas went everywhere. It looked like a food bomb had detonated. Hahaha, love it. My wireless router, so I ripped the cables from it, spiked it hard enough on the ground to dent my hardwood floor and fracture the board inside of it. P that I hurt my floor. I took the router into my kitchen and stabbed it so much so hard with a screwdriver the screwdriver broke and stabbed me. I like how all you had to say was my wireless router and everyone gets it. punched a hole through my dash because my CD player skipped after hitting a bump. I immediately quit taking the antidepressant I was on because that was so far out of character for me. Never done anything like it before or since. As I was watching Gurren Lagann, my brother of age 10 pooped in front of the television. So as a big brother, I helped him clean off the crap. As I was wiping his crap off the floor, he got annoying. He splashed his crap around and asked stupid questions. Got annoyed, and in my anger, I bashed his head at the wall. After a few moments, blood dripped from his forehead, then drips turned to stream. I immediately grabbed another towel and wiped his forehead, and as I do, I felt guilty of my actions and started to cry. As he described, he never felt that much pain as I would expect. As of now, the part of his head where I hit him never sprouted hair anymore. On that day, Mom discovered me covered in poop, blood and tears. When I was young I got angry at Cartoon Network for taking DBZ off at night and replacing it with YUGO. I was so upset I started stabbing my YUGO cards with a crappy knife and ending up cutting my hand pretty bad. Instant regret. Broke my $120 Logitech headset because I nerd rage while playing League. Also busted the hard drive on my laptop because of League. Also punched a hole in my desk because of LOL. I stopped playing League. I had similar stuff happen because of PUBG. I play that game in small doses now and I ensure I don't take it seriously. I ripped my Nintendo 64 out of my cabinet, walked out my front door and threw it off the 4th floor balcony onto the flight line fence on a military base in Italy. They did not admire the good distance I got. Rippin' spaghetti, never forgetti. Blew up a $5,000 engine. I had a really crappy day and decided I'd take my project car for a spin. The engine was freshly rebuilt and still in the break-in period. I took it out and was redlining it through the mountains when a piston seized and blew out the crankcase. Brand new engine was toast. This is why I love games like BeamNG Drive. It's so satisfying to pulverize a car into dust, but without it being your car. Rather than because of, my stupidest anger itself was yelling at a box of pasta for falling off a shelf as if it were a human that fricked up and could understand what I was saying, at the end of what was already a really bad day. I can't stop imagining a grown man yelling swear words at the top of his lungs at a box of spaghetti on the floor. While I was already pee, I opened the fridge and a plastic bottle of mayonnaise fell on my foot. That made my last bit of sanity perish. I grabbed the bottle and threw it to the ground, which made the cap break off and proceeded to kick it through the room, splattering mayonnaise everywhere. Spent the next few hours getting screamed at by my mother and cleaning the mayonnaise off the floor and walls. I was 7 months pregnant when I get a call from my sister crying that some girls showed up at her house and beat her up in the driveway. In my crazy big sister pregnant hormonal state, I thought it was a good idea to grab a pellet gun I had, hop in the car and chase the bee down, waving it at them and threatening their lives. This was 18 years ago and I'm still so grateful nobody called the cops on me. I've also been known to throw phone books at people when I'm mad. For some reason there's always a phone book nearby when I'm pee at my siblings. Pretty sure they're the only reason they still exist in my world. For throwing. But Gary, everybody uses the online phone directories now. We don't need to keep making phone books. No, Bob, there's people out there that need them. When I was like 13 I had a flip phone, and I was a little salty about it. Me, this phone sucks. Dad, it's a great phone. What do you mean? Me, snaps phone in half and throws it across the room. I got very little sleep the night before and was arguing about some dumb stuff. I didn't get a replacement phone until I was 14. It was another flip phone. When I was young, I just hit a girl in the face because my friends constantly repeated to me that I was in love with her. So I got angry and wanted to prove that they were wrong. You took out your anger on the wrong person there, mate. That is absolutely infuriating though. I'm still a little mad at some of my friends for doing a similar thing a couple of years ago. Punched computer screen. Hurt my hand, broke the screen. Doesn't sound too out there. Did I mention that I did it over a bloody game of Hearts? Girlfriend revealed to me she was faking it for my benefit. Something I had said before was a horrible idea due to my insecurities. My depression related stress boiled over and I got aggressive. Immediately regretted it. Went to therapy and eventually broke up. Thankfully I am now in a much healthier position and am 3.5 years into a relationship with a wonderful lady. Ex last I checked has successfully completed chef school and is in a relationship with someone better for her. Smiles all around. D. In my youth I brake checked a guy who was tailgating me. His car fishtailed then ended up spinning and stopping 180 degrees toward oncoming traffic. My anger at being tailgated could have caused harm to him or other innocent people. I've never pulled that stunt since, even though tailgaters still pee me off. What you do when someone is on your butt is just start slowing down. Very slowly. Foot still on the gas, but not enough to maintain speed so you're losing a few mph per minute. Eventually you'll be going at or under the speed limit, forcing the tailgater to deal with it or get around you. It's not particularly aggressive, but it is effective. Punched a girl in the face in the middle of class and then walked out. Yes, she deserved it, but I shouldn't have done it. Would like to hear more about this one. My girlfriend is great at planning things ahead of time, but I am great at getting us out the door. She was lollygagging one day, and I said, "Honey, are we leaving or are you sorting the mail?" "We're leaving." "It looks a lot like you're sorting the mail. What am I missing?" It doesn't sound terribly mean, but you should have heard the tone of voice I used. It was very mean. I apologized like 3 minutes later. No lollygagging. Not the stupidest, but the funniest. I was off of my bipolar meds, and I got so mad that I was having pizza for dinner that I started sobbing. My dad grounded me from my gamma cube one time because I said "suck my butt bitch boy" when he asked me to do the dishes, so I stole his phone and took a bunch of pictures of my dong and emailed them to all his co-workers with a follow-up email that said, "Oh no, my sexy butt son must have taken my phone again, haha sorry fellas." And not an hour later the cops showed up to my house and Batista bombed my dad through 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 my dad. Moral of the story is, if you're reading this, dad, I am coming for you when they release you from prison in 2022. Nobody takes my freaking gamma cube away. I dropped a grilled cheese sandwich while taking it off the stove, got pee and kicked it. Burning cheese splattered all over my leg, my foot, the cabinets, the carpet, the curtains, the wall and even my dog. Kicked my brother in the nuts so bad that he had swelling and he had to get an x-ray done. It was over nothing, totally unprovoked. I'll never forget that feeling of pure sadistic hate for no reason. I immediately regretted it and never forget it out of fear of letting myself ever be consumed by rage again. Never had anger issues before and never since. I honestly don't know what came over me. I cried a lot and begged for his forgiveness, which he gave. I have a great relationship with my brother and would never like to see him harmed. I mean, I love him. My own actions really made me question my sanity that day. I was on my lunch break and had stopped at Mickey D's for some delicious nuggets. I'm one of the few who likes honey with their nuggets, instead of the regular sauces. So, after waiting in the drive-thru line for freaking ever, I finally get my food and head back to work with minutes to spare. Now, let me preface this next part by saying that more than once, I've been given honey mustard instead of honey for my nuggets, and it's one of those stupid things that gets me irrationally pee off. If I wanted honey mustard, I would have asked for it. How hard is that frick? Anyhow, back to our story. I'm waiting to turn into the parking lot at work, and I reach into my nuggets bag to make sure I got the right sauce, knowing full well I won't have time to go back if it's wrong. I know as soon as my fingers touch the sauce packet. Fricking honey mustard. I pull that sucker out of the bag like it owes me money, and in a blind rage, I throw it as hard as I can. Why? I'm still not sure. The sauce packet is smashed open from the force of the throw and splatters somewhat artistically over my dashboard and passenger window. Now I'm angry. I have a huge mess to clean up, and most importantly I have zero sauce left for my nugs. Defeated, I go back to work and ate some dry but plain nuggets. I left the stain there for a while to remind myself to be less of a dumbass, and also to check my order before I pull out of the drive-thru. Stupid honey mustard. funny cause the McDonald's I live near has given me honey instead of my honey mustard. Pretended I was driving my friend's car when she got caught by a speed camera. We have a system called penalty points. If you get 12 points your license is revoked for a year. She had 9 points. Her speeding offense would have given her another 3 and she'd have lost her license. I filled in the form and said I was driving. I had 0 points, so it would have been fine for me. Police turned up at my house to arrest me for having no insurance to drive her car, and I couldn't admit the lie or we would both been screwed. I got banned from driving for 6 months and a fine for having no insurance : Die Saints Row. The first one, the only good one. Go to take a pee. Pee. Rage still boiling inside me. Furiously flush. Push lever so hard it breaks. The second one was good too. The third is where they fricked up hard. Not quite anger, but I was driving home from college for the weekend after getting dumped. In my emotional state, ended up going 90 over a 65 mph zone. Got a $400 ticket. Got so upset about the ticket on top of everything else that I ended up going the wrong way on the next highway for about 40 minutes. In my haste to hurry home, I turned a 5.5-hour drive into a nearly 8-hour trip. I was playing GoldenEye for Nintendo 64 and trying to get the invincibility cheat. To unlock it you have to beat the facility on 00 agent in under 2 minutes. For that to even be possible, the scientist has to spawn in one specific location, so it's only possible 20% of the time. One time I was doing great, and the scientist was exactly where he needed to be. I rushed through the end of the level, opened the doors, got to the victory screen, and saw my time. 2:01. I was so angry I threw my controller, turned around and punched a hole in my closet door. My dad was not happy with that. I work at a bank and I really didn't want to work that day cause I hated the manager at that branch. I was helping another bank branch that day, so I went to the break room and set the electrical box on fire. Got off work for the day and that branch got closed for a week. Holy crap, that's insanely reckless. As a child, nothing could quite get my temper blazing like Super Mario Bros. I used to play it on my Game Boy Advance SP and get so frustrated when I would die on the same level for the 19th time. One time I finally lost it and accidentally snapped the handheld in 2 pieces. Not me, but my ex-husband. Backstory: he was an angry, violent man. He was driving my car with me in the passenger seat. We're beginning to argue, so his temper was flaring up. While he's driving and yelling at me, he hits the steering wheel in frustration. Seconds later, we hear a car horn honking continuously. This pisses him off even more, screaming heavy and % at his honking at me and I quickly realize it's my car that is honking. I wanted to laugh so hard but I had to compose myself otherwise I'd be hit next. I calmly told him it was my car, and he hit the steering wheel again and sure enough, the honking stopped. The look on his face was priceless. He felt so stupid. The rest of the ride was a quiet one. Oh, and the next day, it was raining hard and cold outside. We're in our apartment chilling, and we all of a sudden hear a car horn honking continuously. I looked at him and smiled. He promptly got up, grabbed my keys and walked outside to turn my car's horn off. Lawnmower bag kept falling off the back while trying to mow front lawn. Tried to bend tabs to make it stop. Ended up gashing both hands open. Threw bag across lawn followed by lawnmower, which I broke and then had to fix to finish mowing lawn. Wife watched the whole thing and laughed hysterically, which caused even more anger. So when I was 17 I was driving around in my parents' car 05 Ford Focus, with my GF at the time back to her place. Standard stuff. Needed to take a left, missed the protected green arrow. So I waited until the light went red and it would be all good as the incoming traffic would stop. Wrong. Started my left and a lady flew through the intersection, going approximately 15 over the speed limit according to insurance investigation in a Dodge Durango. Hit me in the front right tire so hard it spun us around to a 360. grateful we didn't flip and I wasn't a foot forward, as the GF would be dead from a T-bone collision. And somehow we escaped pretty well off, and the first thing I did when I got out was scream at the lady that hit us, "What the frick were you doing, you fricking idiot," again. I was 17 and all I could think of was how fricked I was instead of how lucky I was that nobody was seriously hurt. My parents' car was definitely totaled and done for. The lady's car had her engine block dang near at the steering wheel. Would I lose my license? Will my parents ever let me drive again? My GF's mom is def not letting me drive her daughter again. Well, my anger cooled a bit and I made sure everyone was okay, but I was still upset. Ended up being ruled as my fault even though 2 witnesses claim I had right of way and she ran the red, with her daughter in the front seat like WTF. And I stay convinced to this day that it was because I was angry and mean to her and the police officer who seemed like he couldn't be bothered to take care of us that night. TLDR. Lady ran a red, totaling 2 cars in the process. Got ruled in my fault probably cause I was mean to her and the cop. At least in Ontario that would be your fault. Joint fault in best case scenario. Making unsafe left turn. I was so upset that I accidentally broke my computer while trying to clean it with Windex that I grabbed a box of eggs and started to chuck each egg in any direction in my backyard. Stabbed myself in the hand with a steak knife. I was holding a tub of ice cream and trying to scoop out some, but it was frozen solid, so I was not having any luck. I got pee off and grabbed a knife. Needless to say, it went through the ice cream quite easily and into my hand. I may have an ice cream addiction and act irrationally when I cannot get it. I was in the throes of drug addiction at the time, but I beat the crap out of my brother. Like, broke several bones in his face. He's been incredible to me though and supported me as I got and stayed clean. I also once smashed my work computer in rage and frustration. I would not speak to my brother again if he did that to me. I remember having really bad PMS once and being really irritated. My tights had run, so I emptied out my underwear drawer to find a replacement pair. Then I felt my nose was snotty. Went to get some TP from the bathroom, but it wouldn't unravel properly, so I smashed the roll of TP against the cistern. Lastly, my lips felt chapped, so I emptied out my makeup bag, looking for a lipstick. My then BF said, "I could tell where you'd been. You left a trail of destruction." Then I saw the funny side and calmed down, whilst my BF did an impression of a busted up roll of TP. Got mad at my mom for doing something and decided I would throw my phone against my bed to get my rage out, forgetting I had left a plate on there earlier. Phone hit plate and then rebounded into the wall and smashed to pieces, and I ended up just angry at myself for being so dumb. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.